Hey guys, Chris here again, and I've just finished up my second week of my Dreamcast challenge, and this week was pretty good. I didn't end up getting as many games as I did last week, but like I said then in my last video, I'm not really expecting to get that many games every week. I think it was about 17 games or so that I picked up. This week wasn't as fruitful, but I still ended up picking up some pretty good games. I went and checked out Next Level Video Games in Blackwood, New Jersey. I've never even heard this place before. I just started doing a Google search of some of the game stores that were around me, and I don't remember seeing this one ever come up before. It was a pretty small store. I took a few photos that I'll show throughout the video. They didn't have very many Dreamcast games, but I pretty much bought a lot of what they did have. So let's go right ahead and get into it. The first game I picked up was Tee Off. Here you go. Which is a golf game, of course, but I've never played it before. Let's see how much I spent for that. $4.99 for Tee Off. Second is Dave Mira Freestyle BMX, which is about $6.99. After that, I got Tennis 2K2 for $7.99. And I love the Virtua Tennis games. This was the gameplay in these games are so good. It's weird that you know how Sega was able to make a tennis game so addicting, but the Virtua Tennis games have always been some of my favorite. Absolutely love those games. And the last game that I picked up was Sports Jam. It was a little bit more expensive. It was $14.99, and I don't know how much this typically goes for, but it's one of those games that I don't really see around that often. It's more of, I think, one of the more uncommon sports games. I know just going around to different flea markets, to different game shows and conventions, I can't really remember a time seeing Sports Jam just sitting out there. So I decided to end up picking that one up. I ended up passing on a few games. One of the games he had in his case, where some of the more expensive games sat, was Confidential Mission, that came bundled with a light gun, and it was for, I think, $49.99. And I remember someone telling me that Confidential Mission was one of the more sought after or uncommon Dreamcast games. I had that back in the day when I had a previous collection on the Dreamcast. It was a pretty fun light gun game. I decided to pass on that there because I knew I could get it cheaper elsewhere. I ended up buying it on eBay for about $22, $23, but it hasn't arrived yet, so that's probably going to go into next week's video. But yeah, it seemed way too expensive to buy, and I didn't want to spend that kind of money on that game when I knew I would need to save some of that money to put elsewhere. And when I end up needing to kind of pony up the cash to really buy some of the more expensive games, I'm kind of prepared to do that. I got an interesting email earlier in the week from a guy who read my article on Sega Nerds, and he offered, yeah, it was pretty interesting. He told me that he actually has 2 complete Dreamcast collections, which just kind of boggled my mind. He said as he went along, his goal was just kind of do what I'm doing right now, to obtain a full collection of North American release Dreamcast games. But as he was going along with it, he bought a lot of bundles, and as he continued to do that, he ended up getting lots of the same games, so he'd have doubles of all these. And before he knew it, as he was getting close to finishing his first collection, he was actually very close to finishing a second collection, so he went and did that, according to what he told me. And he had about, let me see here, he ended up, after the 2 complete collections, he still had, let's see here, about 74 games on top of that he ended up having left over. So he has 2 complete collections and then 74 games outside of that, and he offered to sell them to me, which is pretty cool. And they seem to be all in complete complete in box, and they all seem to be, according to what he told me, to be in pretty good condition. And I'm not. It was the price of what he offered is a little bit more expensive than I'm willing to spend right now. I'm not. I don't have like a big lump of sum of money that I can pony up right now. I'm just kind of going. I don't really have an official budget per month or per paycheck or anything like that. I'm just kind of going along as I go, but I just don't have that kind of money to put down on a big chunk like that. I mean, I wish I did, but my wife would be pretty mad if she checked the bank account and saw northwards of $500-600 transaction in there. She would have some questions for me and not be very happy. And that kind of brings me to another point where I've kind of come to the realization that if I want to end up doing this without spending a ridiculous amount of money, I think I'm going to have to end up trading some of my games for other platforms. And I really don't want to do that because I really enjoy collecting on other platforms, and like I said in my initial one, I collect for all the Sega systems. I also love collecting for the 3DO, for the TurboGrafx, and I have some pretty, not like super expensive games, but some games that are worth a decent amount that would be tradable. Games like, let's see here, like Pure Solar, like a box unopened for the Dreamcast. I don't know how much that goes offhand, but I know that lots of people want to get their hands on that. I have Dragon's Curse for the TurboGrafx 16, and that's complete in box. And then, I also have Splatterhouse 3. And, I mean, I have a bunch of others, but those are just what I had on my shelf next to me. And so, games like that, I think that I'm kind of coming to the realization that I might have to part with some of these games. And that's going to be kind of tough for me because I don't like trading or selling my games anymore. I kind of made a promise to myself that I was going to stop doing that because that's how I got in the situation where I didn't own as many Dreamcast games as I used to because I've sold 2 collections of Dreamcast games that I had, and I didn't have near a complete collection at those point in times, but I had well over 130 games and things like that. And so when I started really collecting games again, I told myself I wasn't going to be selling off my games anymore. I just didn't want to do it. But I think if I really want to complete this collection in a year, like I said, without just breaking the budget, I think I'm going to have to really go and start parting with some of my older games. And I'll be okay with that as long as I feel like I'm getting a good return and it's a fair trade. I'm fine with that. And it's going towards something that I'm really passionate about. Like, I really want to get this Dreamcast collection done in a year. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably start looking out on some of the Facebook groups. I'm a part of several different Sega and retro collecting and trading groups. I haven't really done a lot on those, but I'll probably start putting some stuff out there and seeing, what kind of interest I get on some of those. I also have plans next week. There's a game convention, a smaller one called South Jersey, like Geek Fest or something like that. I'm hoping I can make some time to go out there next week and see what they have available Dreamcast-wise. I want to mix it up. I don't want to keep going just to retro game stores every week. I want to start getting out to some conventions, to some flea markets, even yard sales and that sort of thing. I think it'll be pretty interesting just to see what kinds of things I find out there. So yeah, that is going to do it for this week's episode. I'll be back again next Sunday with a new episode. Be sure to follow along on my journey You can watch each video. It's on the Sega Nerds YouTube channel, so just go to youtube.com/user/Sega Nerds, or just check out the Sega Nerds website. Every Sunday there'll be a new video post and journal entry posted there. It's www.seganerds.com. And if you want to follow along, I'm also posting on Twitter as well as I kind of go along through the week. And you can follow me. It's at ChrisCollectsDC on Twitter. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. I will see you back next week. Take it easy.